Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. My name is Boom Gonzalez.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Diego Dario. You can watch the game live and our past episodes on demand on the Pilipinas Live app for just 99 pesos a month. Available for download on Google Play or the App Store.
Now, Gilas Pilipinas is returning to battle in the upcoming Asian Games where they are set to face Bahrain, Thailand, and Jordan. And with that, some key players are expected to step up in the Asian showdown. And giving us the list of his must-watch players is basketball analyst, three-time PBA champ, the cool cat in his The Game debut. Mike Cortez. Good to see you again. Welcome back, man.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Kuya Mike, my vet. He was my vet when I was a rookie in the PBA.
I want to start with that. You do know why you're here, right? You were personally invited by Diego Dario to get back at you for all the stuff that you made him do when he was your rookie. I heard. What were these things? Let's start with that.
I'll tell the story. During the opening of my first ever conference in the PBA, Kuya Mike made me bring a bag, a Dora pink bag in the opening, wear it the whole time and some of the games as well. But I was a good rookie, Kuya Mike. Would you agree?
Great rookie.
Yeah, there you go.
Because he said yes.
Because he followed.
Because he followed.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't the only rookie.
Okay.
That we may do that, but you know, it's rookie hazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing too bad. Nothing too soft.
Sure,
so.
that's not what he said, but it's okay.
It actually looked good on him. It looked good on him.
Okay, sure. He's gonna grill you in a bit, but first, you came up with this list, as we mentioned. Mike, what were you thinking when you came up with the list? What was your line of thinking, rather, when you came up with, I think, was it 5 players that you wanted to see?
Yeah, so with the 5 players that I chose, these are the 5 that I chose were guys who were in the pool of the last World Cup,
right?
But weren't part of the team.
Okay.
And so for that reason, I picked them because I wanted to see them on this international stage.
Okay.
Right, and let's start it off with your list right here with the first player. And he's one of our naturalized player. Of course, we went with Jordan Clarkson, but Justin Brownlee, how important is he here in this upcoming campaign for Gilas Pilipinas?
I think he's going to be very important just because, you know, he carries a lot of the scoring load.
Right.
We've seen in the SEA Games and even in the PBA. And I think he's coming off an injury, and so we'll see if he's ready to play. And I think with how versatile he is, playing 2, 3, 4, sometimes even the point guard position, he's a matchup nightmare.
You mentioned, obviously, we've seen what he has done in the PBA through the years. You saw him in the SEA Games, as you mentioned. Did you see any difference in the kind of game that he plays when he plays in that quick international tournament where they obviously survived a lot of horrible conditions, as they said?
Yeah.
But just from a game standpoint, did you see anything that you took notice of?
I've seen that he trusts his teammates.
Okay.
And he can play within the system. I think from the World Cup stage, what we saw was we were looking for Clarkson a lot.
Right.
Right. And I think with JB, he's already acclimated to how the Filipinos play.
Right.
And he's acclimated to Coach Tim Cohn's system. And he's going to be the focal point, but at the same time, he knows when to take over a game and when to give it up and to create situations.
And of course, chemistry, familiarity is super important in the game of basketball. But let's go on to your next player, move on to Ange Kwame, another naturalized player, but affects the game in a different way compared to Justin Brownlee.
Right, like you said, he affects the game differently. He's a big, 6'10", 6'11". I think that's what we missed in the World Cup. We played against big teams like Angola, Italy, South Sudan, and I think we really needed that big to kind of shore up the middle for us.
And all I
protect
can say,
the rim.
With Ange Kwame, I played against him in numerous games in the UAP, changed my game. I was scared of going for layups. I just shot 3 pull-ups because Ange was right there in the middle. So he can definitely change the game for any team.
And he got better and better.
Exactly.
All right. UAP season 84 MVP and then finals MVP in season 85. Is there going to be, and I know, that we're not second-guessing Coach Tim Cohn and his genius, but how do you separate the roles for both Ange and Justin?
Well, I think with JB, he's more of a scorer, And I think with Ange, he's more to protect the paint. And I think with Coach Tim, he's really big on chemistry, like what Diego said. And I think both these guys kind of understand how to play and play their role to a T. And is the rule where you only can have one naturalized player on at one time? Is that the rule?
Right. So,
Okay.
you know, for Anscom and Justin Brownlee, they're gonna have different ways of affecting the game. But this
Once
next,
they come in,
yeah,
when
once
they
they come in,
alternate,
they're gonna have to sub each other. But when you talk about your next player on your list, played the point guard position, plays the point guard position just like you, Chris Ross. I mean, you've played against him in your
Yes.
PBA career, and I think
Yes.
with him, were you teammates with
We
him
were teammates
before?
in Morocco,
Right.
yes.
Exactly. How does Chris Ross change this Gilas team for this
To
campaign?
me, he proved in the SEA Games, you know, that he really can play his role, which is to be the leader. And I think that's what they kind of missed in the World Cup. Just that guy to bring everybody together on and off the court. He's what Dick Vitale calls a PTPer, prime time player. When the game is on the line, when it's a big game, game 7, he's really going to play his game.
And you can't teach that.
And you can't, yeah, exactly.
And in what you noticed in the SEA Games, and obviously he also played in the 42nd William Jones Cup, where JB also played before. Did you see him also adjust in a certain way his game to, you know, the international flavor? We already know what he can do and how he can dominate and take
Right,
over a PBA
right.
game, but did you see how he changes his game too?
I've seen how he makes the other team change their game.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. Tell us about that. Like, explain that to us.
Defensively, he's going to get in you, and offensively, you think he's one of the type of players that can dominate the game without scoring.
Right.
That's knowing when to move the ball, who to find, knowing how to set a good screen, keeping the ball alive when on offense, playing the passing lanes a lot, and just being that glue to keep the team together.
Right.
How tough is he? I mean, guarding somebody like that? Because I see it on TV.
Yeah.
And as you both know, TV speed is different from
Exactly.
actual speed. You know this.
Yeah.
Offensively and defensively, you know this, Jago, same way. I want you to both chime in on that.
Well,
You first.
he's a big guard, definitely, in terms of, like, you know, Filipino guards. He's
Yeah.
like, I think 6'2",
Yeah.
6'3", right?
Yeah.
So he can have so many different weapons to affect the game. He can even post up smaller guards, which he does a lot. And he changed this game too. He can shoot the 3 now. Before, you would give that to Chris Ross, but now he kind of has that weapon already. And I think more than anything, it's his leadership. You know, his veteran experience and the way he talks. I think some fans don't even understand how much talking there is inside the game, and Chris Ross is one of those people that you would hear inside the court every single second.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Your thoughts on defending him or just being around him?
Being around him, I was just with him during the combine,
Right.
and he expressed to me that he really wanted to play during the World Cup,
Oh,
and
okay.
he's looking forward to playing this in the Asian Games
Right.
coming up. And so, like Diego said, he's big for a point guard.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
6'2", almost 6'3",
Right.
and he's a matchup nightmare. Like, you could see him during the PBA. He's guarding imports
Yeah.
that are 6'5", 6'6", and he's holding his own.
And then there's the Tim Cone connection too. That's
Right.
with Chris Ross, right?
Right.
So something that again you both talk about chemistry, not only amongst players but between the coach
Between the coaches, and because you always want your point guard to be the extension of the coach.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what he is. And he's
Now-
played. Yep.
Now let's move on to the next guy here on your list. From a point guard to a pure shooting guard, Marcio Lassiter. You've had a lot of experiences also playing against him. His shooting, how important is that in the international game, since you also played
Yes.
internationally, Kuya Mike?
I mean, it's huge. You need shooting to stretch that defense. You got to keep the defense honest. And with Marshall, I wanted to see him on the international stage again, because it seems to me like every time he plays on the international stage, we do well.
Right.
That is a good point.
When he was with Rajko Torman,
Right.
during the SEA Games, and I think in this upcoming Asian Games. He can shoot the 3, like you said, and he's another guy that when you see in person, he's like 6'3", 6'4",
Right.
long arms,
Right.
And so he can play 2, 3, maybe 4 sometimes if he needs to. And he knows what he's going to do. He's going to shoot the 3, and he's going to play defense.
And I think underrated too is Marcio Lassiter's strength, Kuya Mike. I wasn't guarding Marcio Lassiter at all when I was playing, but
Thank God.
playing with him, yeah, against San Miguel. But can you explain to us how strong he really is? He can, lift a lot of weight too. Yeah.
He can. And if you see him, his legs and his arms are big. Yeah, and so he's hard to move. And so when he gets you on your back, like for a rebound, or if you're trying to cut through the paint and he checks you, you're gonna feel it.
And the only reason we're all talking about it in this way is some of these Asian players have gotten really big too, and the skill set has also evolved, obviously. So what you're talking about when it comes to Chris and Marcio, very important. Another Chris that you wanted to see, Chris Newsom, who was there on the bench all throughout through the FIBA World Cup supporting the team, but you want to see him on the floor playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to see him because he's very versatile. One, plays a point guard, can play the 2, can play the 3, plays both sides of the court, good in transition, smart, heady player, loves to get into the paint. So these are all things that can complement our other players, I think.
Oh, he can definitely do a little bit of everything on the court. And just like Kuya Mike, but score a bit more. Kuya Mike, appreciate you for the
Good
time
to
here
see
in
you
the game.
again, man. And we're going to see you
congrats on
more.
your debut
Thank you.
here on the show.
And I'm going to see that backpack next time.
Maybe.
I
I'll bring
wanna
it.
See,
I'll
I
bring
want
it
to see
next
that
time.
bag.
Yeah,
I want to see that bag. Or the,
Still with me.
or the
Still with
picture
me.
at least.
Yeah.
The picture.
Kuya Mike, thank you again.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
We're shifting to athletics because after the break, Kristina Knott shares her preparations for the 19th Asian Games. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game.
All right, joining me here today, none other than Kristina Knott, a Philippine athlete out for medals in the Asian Games. Let's see if you'll get there. If I'm not mistaken, Kristina, 2018, back in the Asian Games in Indonesia, not a podium finish, but how are you feeling so far? Because the last time I got to see you, which is in Southeast Asian Games, you being healthy was the biggest thing on your mind. So how are you doing with regards to that? And how are you doing in general leading up to these Asian Games?
First of all, thank you for having me. And I feel a lot confident going into this championship. Out of all the championships that I've won into this season, this is the healthiest I've been all season. And the numbers that, I'm producing and training is definitely adding to the confidence going into the games. So I was healthy at Asian Champs, but I wasn't as fit as I am now. So I'm going in a lot stronger, a lot fitter than Asian champs. And at Asian champs, it's basically like a glimpse of what I'm gonna see as far as competition at Asian Games. And I missed the podium by one spot. So I'm a different athlete going into Asian Games. So I'm excited to see how Asian Games goes.
Yeah, in your pet event, you were right, missed it by one spot, just a couple of tenths of a second away from China's. You take a look at the mental part of your journey, because I remember seeing you in the Southeast Asian Games, and it was a mixture of relief and frustration, at least looking at you. It
Yes.
was the relief that you came through it without the injury, but the frustration knowing that you could run a lot better, especially in a competition like the Southeast Asian Games. Where are you at with regards to that? Because we all know that that is probably 80% of the battle in terms of recovering.
Yeah, definitely. You know, how I ended at Asian or at the Sea Games definitely fueled me. So I made some changes, some drastic changes, leading up to this point. As far as location, as far as coaching changes and whatnot. So that definitely helped. But yeah, I'm just a different athlete going into this game, and I'm excited and I'm confident going into it. So
Can you tell us about the drastic changes? I know you mentioned the coach and your training, but then what do you feel made the biggest change in terms of all of that?
So the biggest change was going back to my old coach in the middle of my season. And with that coaching change, that means changing location. So previously at the beginning of this season, I was located in Miami, Florida, training there. And now I'm in El Paso, Texas, which is two completely different sides of the United States. I went from the East Coast to the West Coast, basically as far as training. And then not normally people change like off season. I did it in the middle of my season because it was just, I didn't like how I felt at Sea Games. It's like you said, the mental battle. It's challenging, like knowing that people who you know you're better than is beating you or is in footstep with you. And I'm just like, nah, some things got to change. So.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely pride. There's definitely that competitive edge, obviously. But then knowing that when I've seen athletes, regardless of sport, recover from injuries or trying to get back from where they were, normally they treat themselves smarter, they train better, they find ways to manage properly. Could you describe to us what the difference is between the KK before the injury and the KK right now?
Definitely the communication between me and my coach. It's like night and day. Like, I'm not saying like, you know, coach, this hurts. Like, there's certain moments where you have to fight through the pain, but it's knowing what pain you can fight through or not. So my injury was a foot injury. So anything pertaining to the foot that I feel, I need to vocalize that to my coach, and we adjust training accordingly. But as far as like, you know, tiredness or fatigue or lactic acid, that stuff you have to fight through.
You take a look at what this could mean, the Asian Games, in terms of your entire season in general. When you look at the Asian Games, just how high is it in terms of your priority, in terms of your targets, in terms of what you want to do for this year in the entire grand scheme of things for you?
So it's funny because this is the last championship and this is the last race of many of the athletes. It's been a long season specifically for Asian athletes. So this is just a stepping stone to my preparation for Paris. So there's a saying that like many of my coaches have said, like last one, best one. And that's what I'm going in thinking and having that mindset going into this games.
Is this the smartest you've been, in your opinion?
Yeah, I've definitely matured as an athlete. Just going, like, if we look at the scheme of things, you know, my first Asian Games was 2018. I was fresh out of college. That was probably my biggest world stage at that moment. And so much growth, so much learning has been developed in that time.
So where are you at right now? I know we're looking at Paris as the goal, but where are you right now in terms of making sure that once you get to Paris, you are as competitive as you can be as confident as you can be, and of course, making sure that everything's in place to make sure that you could show out the best as you possibly could.
Right. I think where I'm at now is, like I said, I'm learning and stuff. So what happened in Tokyo was the heat got the best of me. So on top of the things that I've learned and, just utilizing the tools that I have in my toolbox now instead of going back to old habits that didn't really get me anywhere.
So, KK, we're all curious to see what you can do in the Asian Games. Is there any message to all the Filipino supporters out there, even those just curious to see what you can do, considering we all know your potential, what you could do. You hold the national records. You hold
Right.
you could do a lot in the international stage, and we've seen that from time to time. What message do you have for all the Filipino fans, supporters, and even those casual onlookers going into the Asian Games?
Records are meant to be broken. Those records are not going to be standing any much longer. And yeah, track and field starts the 29th, and we are going until October 3rd. For the most part, I'm competing every day, so tune in. I believe it will be streamed on YouTube. We need all the love and support. And thank you for all the love and support that you guys have showed me throughout this journey.
Absolutely. KK, really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate your time. I don't know if it's late or early there, but either way, I feel like you may have just woken up, so please get your rest.
I'm
Really
going to
appreciate
bed.
you. All right, KK, have a great one. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
That was Kristina Knott with Paulo Del Rosario. Hey, more Asian Games updates after the break, so keep it here as you continue to watch the game. Welcome back to the game. The Philippine women's football team is set to start its campaign at the 19th Asian Games tomorrow. The Filipinas' new head coach Mark Torcaso and wingback Eva Madarang spoke about their preparations for the tournament.
There's new staff, so there's going to be like different ideologies in the game. People view the game differently. So yeah, but I feel like because of the core that we have, and because of even if we have new players, we kind of bring them in as best we can. So I feel like because of that, it's kind of not as too much of a transition, but obviously with different formations and different styles of play, there's going to be that type of transition. But we're all going through it together, so that's the good thing about it.
ideally, every coach wants as much time as possible with the playing group. So, unfortunately, with my appointment only, a couple of weeks back, we got a camp organised in Manila where I was able to look at some local players, but also got to look at some players that are currently here as well. Spent a bit of time there with them, but we've only had 2 or 3 sessions with this group here as well, so it's quite fresh. But it takes time. It's not something that's going to be happening in the space of a week or 2 weeks. It's going to take a lot of time to build in what we want to do and help the players adjust to not too much different, but enough that might get something different out of certain players and utilize their strengths a little bit better in different spaces. So it's going to be really exciting, and it is going to take time, but this is a great tournament for us to play in to prepare for what's going to come over the next 6 to 12 months.
The Filipinas are set to kick off their first round matchup versus Hong Kong tomorrow, September 22 at 4 p.m. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Diego Dario.
And I'm Boom Gonzalez, and this has been The Game.